Hi, welcome to Dead Air Live. I'm Jean Flanagan, and tonight we're going to do a travel journal through Israel and Jordan. That was the Mediterranean you saw, and that was a house on the beach just north of Israel that somebody built. It's really a pretty wild house. But I'm going to start in Israel, and I was on a family trip a number of years ago, and I had just gotten my camera, and I took lots of footage. It's all handheld, so you have to deal with the fact that it's all handheld. But my brother-in-law is in the Foreign Service, and they were stationed in Israel. And we got to go and spend 2 days in Jordan, in Wadi Rum and Petra, and see the wonderful sights there. So we're going to start in Israel, and we will slowly make our way down across the deserts of Israel and then into the desert of Jordan. So first of all, I'm going to start by showing you a little map that shows how much the desert is a desert, and orient you a little bit on how Israel and Jordan share this very long border. And let's look at the map. So the very end of the Mediterranean Sea is Lebanon and Israel, and then the very top of the Red Sea is the base of Israel. Jordan and Israel share a space there. They each have a city there, and Jordan and Israel split the Dead Sea down the middle, and they share most of their borders with each other. So we're going to go to the next tape, and we're going to look at some of Israel. We're going to be up in the north end of Israel, which is in fact the greenest part of Israel, up by the Sea of Galilee and the Kinneret, as the Israelis call it. And we're going to visit a bird sanctuary up there. The birds you watch are going to be Ukrainian cranes. They're sand cranes with their black wings, mostly. everyone, welcome back. Well, I have on this table some artifacts, and these were picked up at where we're going to show the next video is Caesarea, and it's a site that they are doing excavation at. So let's go look at Caesarea north of Tel Aviv. So Caesarea is, what happened to Caesarea? Okay, Caesarea is a site on the water that the Romans built. Supposedly Julius Caesar built it, and they've been excavating it for the last 20 years. They've really done a pretty amazing job. I was there 10 years earlier, and it was, you could comb the beach and get these artifacts. And I know a woman who is in the Museum of Jerusalem, and I asked her about, well, what about picking up all these artifacts? And she said, well, they're just on the beach, and there's so many of them that they don't have any inherent value. So this is the swimming pool in front of Caesarea. And there's some of the many artifacts stuck in the wall and on the beach. This amphitheater was built special for a wedding. So here's where clearly they threw pottery shards, that was where they threw broken pots. So lots of stone arches with key centers. And here they are actually doing some of the excavating. And some of the reconstruction. Part of what they've unearthed in Caesarea are many, many mosaic floors.
The layout lines.
Fine mosaic tiles.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So we can just imagine how ornate and intricate this whole city was with lots of color. They actually used a lot of paint on the cement walls, on the mosaic tiles, because they are stone, have held their color. This floor is an ibex that you're looking at, the animal you're looking at on this floor. And they paved the roadways with big stones. And you walk on all of those when you're walking around Caesarea. So that was Caesarea, and very interesting excavation site. What we're going to go to now, we're going to travel down into the desert. We're going to the flour caves, Flour, because of how fine the dust is that comes off the stones. And you'll see some of my family members romping around in the flour caves. There's flat nothingness when you drive up to the flour caves. And the stone layers have very intricate patterns. The sign said, "Do not ignite fires," because the dust is actually so fine that you will actually light the dust.
All my weight on one set of Himalayas.
So you actually walk down below car level to enter this space, and there's caves that change. Some of them are new, some of them are old.
That cave. Got a light mat? Enough that we should all come in? Nope. But it's harder on the way out. Help, we're stuck. We might have to burrow out.
But me and the camera all had to get in that little hole in the cave.
You're gonna have to get down on your belly.
I know. I actually had to get on my belly and crawl on my belly to get there. To discover
He's got
there's actually
light
no
up here.
ceiling in the cave, so it was bright sunshine
done,
light
Patrick?
in the cave.
Okay. Teresa, you coming? Why not? We need a picture in
Tell
here.
her, tell him it's sunlight in here.
Oh, there's sunlight in here. It's open from the top. Wow. Teresa, come on in.
There's two of my nephews already in there.
Kind of narrow spot, and then it's open.
And there's the sky.
Go, T-Bird.
And that's my brother-in-law.
Where's Grandma?
The way out is gonna be much harder.
Okay. Grandma coming in?
And you can see the dust falling. That is just the dust from the rock. And that is my future now niece-in-law and TK, for those of you that know TK, and the third nephew of the family.
I think it was when we did the Jordan River trip.
I missed one of the Jordan River trips.
And there
And
were
the-
two chambers. You go into one.
The roof of the
that's not bad.
cave
And
is
the
not
next one
there.
feel like a little
This is
extra.
probably a new
It's
cave
really
because there's
using-
still there was still signs of
I do
water,
remember
and you
something
can
like
see
that.
the layers of the sand that have flaked off,
We got dirty.
and how it's just this whole series of layers, so that once the water erodes it, it's gone. And you get covered in the flour.
I can't believe you let her come out last.
The flower caves are in the Arav Desert, in the south side of
My belt caught dirt.
Israel.
Pants.
And we are on our way down to the Dead Sea and to Masada, which is where we're going to go for the next.
Got the other light.
So this is the actual flower cave, which you walk through. It's quite long and it's very black. We had to use cameras. I mean, we had to use lights. This is why they say don't light fires. You must have a flashlight to walk through this cave.
No, it's a.
Where? Not really.
Sorry, I was trying to explain to him that you didn't know.
Oh, wow. Look
And finally, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's little bits of green. This is about, we see have to hunt for little pieces of green now that we're down in the desert. And now
go in that way.
the Galilean area north of Tel Aviv.
Well, it's the same thing. It's huge. It's like 90 feet in diameter. And Patrick and Teresa out here?
And then you arrive up, and you're back up at
All the way
the
back in that cave.
level that you parked the car. So we're on the flower caves, and it was dusty. I actually went and had to get a bus, had an air compressor, and he blew out my camera because it was no longer filming anything. So now we're going to go to Masada, which is not very far away, and we're going to look at this big plateau that served as a fortress, and that's what the word Masada means. So Masada it's a big mesa, and it has a 1,300-foot cliffs on the east side, which is the side you actually walk up, and it has 300-foot cliffs on the west side. It's believed that Herod fortified Masada in around 37 to 31 BC. So there is a palace that was on Masada, and there's a giant cistern, so lots of buildings. You'll see some swimming pools, and we'll look at a giant cistern. In about 90 years later, in 66, was the first Jewish-Roman war. And in 1970, in 70 AD, the Sicarii Jews actually fortified themselves up on Masada and spent 2 years isolated from the rest of the world and protected from the Romans. And in 72 AD, the Romans actually built on the 300-foot cliffside, the west side of Masada, they built a rampart so they could come and invade get the Jews that were hiding out up there. They laid siege to them. When they finally arrived up there, the Jews all had killed themselves so that they didn't have to be slaves. So we see stepping down into these swimming pools, these little bathing pools and bathing areas. This is, in fact, a Roman bath. So the fire was underneath the floor, and that created the heat. And then we're going to look at the wall, and you see these pipes coming up with holes going around, and so the heat would all come up the walls, and that would heat the whole room up, and then they could add water to that to make a steam bath. And you overlook the plateau, and you can actually see the Dead Sea from Masada. And that's one of the Roman the Roman fortresses that they set up in order to keep the Jews up in Masada and during the siege. And these are some of the cisterns. This is the largest cistern that was all fed by rainwater, and they actually had a big system of aqueducts in order to keep this full during the dry season. We were there in December, so it was the end of the dry season, but it really hadn't become the wet season yet. This is the Serpentine Trail that you have to hike up and down on the east side to get to Masada if you're going to hike. But I was with my mother, so I took the easy way down. In fact, we are on the aerial tram. Hi, and welcome back. I'm sort of doing a running dialogue for some of these, particularly in Israel, where these are big sites. I'm not really going to take you to some of the more famous sites in Israel, but that Masada is a big one. Now we're going to go and we'll take a little dip in the Dead Sea, and we're going to go hike through the Ein Gedi, which is a spring that's down by the Dead Sea. And let's go take a dip in the Dead Sea.
There's tanks there. There's a little cave. There's another little cave.
The hills are all a lot. Some of them man-made, some of them not.
So this marker is 200 feet above sea level as we travel down into the Dead Sea. We pass the random camels, and there are some Bedouin tents periodically. But this is the whole southern part of Israel. Looks like this. So we're at sea level now, and then you look downhill until you see the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is actually 400 feet below sea level. It's the lowest part of landmass on Earth. And It's so salty because there's actually no outlet for the Dead Sea. It actually is the Jordan River feeds down, divides Jordan and Israel, feeds down into the Dead Sea, and it's salty because it's just evaporating water. This is the little resort area that's on the Dead Sea. And that's all spring maintained.
Approaching the Dead Sea.
Because you actually, when you swim in the Dead Sea, it's so salty that you actually have to not have any cuts on your body. You have to not have any, you can't put your eyes in the water. They actually have a whole emergency system. You can see how high you float. You actually, it's very bizarre. It's sort of like, it's you don't really swim in the Dead Sea. You really just float in the Dead Sea.
Not only do I float, I float like halfway out of the water. Hands up!
And there's outside showers because you have to wash all of that stuff off, and it's very easy to get dehydrated. So you don't really stay in for very long. But a lot of Europeans come down and do the cure at the Dead Sea. It's been touted for many years. This is now the Ein Gedi, which is behind those resorts, and we're walking inland now from the Dead Sea. And this is a natural spring. It's probably a 2-mile hike into the headwaters of the spring. And this is the pool that's about halfway up.
What's that?
Yes, Dad jumped in with his wallet. Those are my 3 nephews. Hi, and welcome back. That's what we're going to see of Israel. We've been now solidly entered the desert. We actually did this as all one trip. So we went south, and we stayed overnight down in the desert, and then we traveled down to Eilat at the very southern tip of Israel, and then crossed the border to Aqaba, the city in Jordan, and then we went to Wadi Rum. So we're going to start and look at Wadi Rum next.
As you know, why they chose this location to put the visitors? Note 7 pillars of wisdom because of this mountain.
Wadi means
This is not
valley,
different, but this is
and
totally
Rum
wrong,
means
because there's many
height,
mountains,
and it's a high valley.
dots and pillars
So
like
we've
this
gone from
on the
400
Wadi
feet
Rum.
below sea level
And I believe the
one day,
leaders
and the next
of
day we were
Travelogue
3,500
came
feet
from the
above
Old
sea level,
Testament
still
and
looking
the
at
Biblical
mountains.
Quran.
So it didn't look a lot different. Wadi Rum is famous because it is where Lawrence of Arabia, who was a British soldier, officer who helped the Arabs defeat the Turks, and Wadi Rum is where the big battle took place. And it's very set up for tourists. You get to go on your camel ride.
Nice memory, by the way. Bye, Jane.
one of the most uncomfortable rides you can ever take.
I remember this being huge.
Yeah, they walked us over down out back, and then we all turned around and came back.
Yeah, we didn't have any wild here until. I want to.
Singing a song, a camel song. They returned from the voyage.
The sites in Jordan are all the Bedouin actually control the sites in Jordan, and they
There we
are
go, getting off. This is
the
the
people who
joy
make
of
the
camel
money
riding.
and earn a living.
Whoop.
God.
Beautiful.
They're great desert animals, but. So then you take your little camel, when you're done with your little camel ride, then you hop on a Jeep, and if you get seasick, you're going to need to not watch the next part of this video.
I'm counting.
I need to film
But I really
while we
feel
were
sorry
driving.
for the women here in this village.
This is the little town, and
24 hours.
the women are in fact always inside. You never see women. They are in their houses 24 hours a day, weaving and doing their cooking, and the men are hosting the tourists and driving us around open desert.
Patrick, stand over next to Teresa. No, Grandma. No. I was gonna have Grandma in the picture. Now she's third in the picture.
You didn't say anything.
For us in the desert, rather than camels and things like that, and also the iron sheets. They bring it from the village to protect the animal. That, if you look at that direction, where is the big open area? That is the area where they shot the film Lawrence of Arabia. The film, I mean, Lawrence of Arabia.
I knew I'd seen it before.
Starring by Omar Sharif and the other. And this is the real place. And where is the 2 palm trees up there? Which means there's a water annual.
Yeah.
Okay. It's granite. The other one, it's limestone. Some are flint. Some are sandstone. All kind of stone found in this area. The granite was used the first time in this region by the 4th century AD, by Byzantine period, when they start making granite columns to build the churches and other. Black, it's because of the heat, because in summertime, sometimes the temperature go up till 130 Fahrenheit. Yes. You call it hot? The last thing, which is the Samudic writing and letters. If you look at this rock, you will see the writing, which is from the 7th century BC. This kind of alphabetic, we call it Thamudic. Thamudic belong to Thamud on the south, Medina south, where they came, like the Nabateans, the people at that time, by 7th century, 6th century. They used to live in this area. They used to control the caravans, let's say. Anybody pass from this area, they used to pay. They used to take kind of fees from them, you know, and then they move further to the north, where is Petra right now, and decide to build their capital.
Oh, look at the color of the sand over there. Yeah. Oh, like painted.
That is the part of the shift sand. We go and carry the sand, and the sand are crystal.
Just
It makes- yes, yeah.
Yeah, look at the pieces that have fallen off and broken down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring enough tapes, Gene? Too much good stuff here. Wow.
Look at the sand colors over there, the different colors of sand. And he get hitchhiker like that. He leave everything. You know, this is the way it was like that. That's why you see them all over, because they can sit and talk and build. All right? We go that way. What?
He said here you have writing from the 7th century BC and above it 7th century AD.
That's a family drawing, a man, a woman, and child. Not drawing all the way up here. Yes. Now, if you look at the other side above your head, you see a child, I mean a dog.
This big piece of tan.
Let's see, guys, if you can have some fish today.
Gene, here's another one right here. Right for coming in. Last night, we stayed at 423 feet below sea level, and right now we're at approximately 3,500 feet above sea level. Sitting here overlooking the Wadi Rum.
Hi, and welcome back. When we left Wadi Rum, we then went to a luncheon where they showed off their best Jordanian hospitality. Okay, well, now we got back on the bus. We were in this little mini bus, and we had to travel up to Petra, which was up, we're opposite the Dead Sea again, so we've traveled up the other side of the Dead Sea. And so this is the traveling, and then the hotel, the second half of this video is the hotel we stayed at, which is an old Bedouin town. So let's look at traveling through Jordan. So as we travel up, you just see the desert and farmland, these amazing moonscapes. They're just building this four-lane highway, divided highway, 2 lanes in each direction. And you can see some of the farmland. This is actually farmed land. They're waiting for the rains to come, so that farm stuff will grow. Whatever they grow there, I'm not sure. This site here is supposedly the site of Aaron's tomb, which is another place you can go to. We did not go. This is our lovely hotel. And now we're going to go visit Petra, which is why we stayed at that hotel. And the next day we spent all day in Petra. And we It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. It was built in 7th century AD. Let's go check out some of Petra.
Oh, gee.
So you could ride the horses down or back, and these are the men who lead the horses when their tourists are on them, and then they get to hightail their horses back up the hill. You can also ride a wagon, a cart down or up, or you can walk. It's actually a fairly long walk. The tombs, these are tombs. Petra's a site of tombs carved into the solid rock. This building is known as the Treasury. It didn't house a treasure, but it's actually, people actually fought over it thinking that it did. Again, these are tombs for the dead. There's no bodies in them anymore, but they are all carved out of solid rock. And this is the natural sand colors all put up for tourists. So my mother got to take the cart down and take the cart back.
Oh, you mean the one here?
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching my videos from Israel and Jordan. And we're going to go now to a music video that I made using scenes from Petra. So we'll see more of Petra. And good night, and thank you for joining us. Okay, and so they have to change onto a different DVD for this video. So we've had Israel and Jordan have a long border, and they share the Dead Sea. And so we actually had to drive all the way down, probably about 7 hours from Tel Aviv down to get over the border, and then another 5 hours up to get to Petra, and then back down to Eilat, and then we headed back north, and all in the desert. So that's what we've been watching, and we'll be back again next week with something new and different. So thanks for staying with us, and we've enjoyed giving you Dead Air Live this evening.